Well, the Israel-Hamas war might finally be settled because Kid Rock has weighed in.
We're going to start bombing motherfuckers and killing civilians. 40,000 a time.
That's right. The country rock star just appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast, and at one point, the conversation turned toward the ongoing war in the Gaza Strip between the Israeli military and Hamas. That's where things got interesting. We're going to break it all down, but first, I'm Brad Palumbo, and welcome back to Mediaite, your home for coverage and commentary on the intersection of politics and media. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and sticking around for daily videos, and don't forget to like and comment with your thoughts as we go along. Now, without further ado, here's the clip from Joe Rogan and Kid Rock's conversation that's going viral.
The only wars we won were the ones we were the most brutal motherfuckers on the planet, which I don't disagree with what Israel's doing. It's like, they should just go in there and be like, you know what? We want our hostages back. If we don't have them back, clock starts now, in 24 hours, we're going to start bombing motherfuckers and killing civilians. 40,000 a time. So you civilians better pack up and get these motherfuckers and you go against Hamas. You go against them. We're not playing games with you. But that's the only thing people understand. This is what happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Right, but you're not supposed to pick civilian targets. That's actually a
you
war
can't
crime.
Fight war like that.
But you're not supposed to pick
hiding in civilian targets.
They are. So that's where, like, the Mossad
in
have been able
hospitals.
to
They
get
got
into
trenches
hospitals.
Underneath. They got operation centers.
They killed those dudes.
And all we can do is go
day.
by the reporting. Like, you know, I get it, but at some point you got to believe something, right?
No, I definitely do. They definitely seem to be doing that. But also, if you're a person who's born in Palestine, you're under their control. It's not your fault.
And by birth.
Yeah, but those aren't our enemy.
So, I'm really not here to tell you what to think about the Israel-Palestine conflict, which is incredibly complex and dates back thousands of years. But what I can tell you is that anytime you hear somebody on either side of this debate speaking so callously and cavalierly about the loss of innocent civilians' lives, that's a massive red flag that something's wrong with their moral compass. I mean, Kid Rock is speaking to an audience of millions of listeners and viewers on Joe Rogan and essentially advocating in favor of Israel committing war crimes. After all, according to the Geneva Convention, explicitly and intentionally targeting civilians and killing civilians is a war crime. Now, to be clear, this is different from when you have situations where enemy forces are embedded in civilian populations or centers, and you try to destroy your enemy, but civilians are inadvertently and unintentionally killed. That's a different situation that tragically happens in almost every war. But intentionally targeting civilians in the way that Kid Rock suggests, that's a war crime. And it's not particularly close. Now look, I highly doubt that Kid Rock went on the Joe Rogan podcast intending to advocate for war crimes. But that kind of monstrous misstep is exactly what can happen when celebrities try to cosplay as geopolitical analysts. I do want to give Joe Rogan some credit here, because he's often criticized by his detractors as somebody who doesn't push back on his guests enough and doesn't really offer enough scrutiny to the extreme things that people sometimes say on his show. But in this case, if you look at the excerpt from the longer episode, Rogan really did push back on Kid Rock, and for good reason. So my takeaways here are twofold. For one, the Israeli military should not, in fact, take Kid Rock's advice. What a bizarre sentence that is to say. And two, we desperately need to stop soliciting and listening to the political opinions of random celebrities on complicated political issues. Conservatives seem to easily understand why this is a bad idea when it comes to liberal-leaning celebrities like LeBron James. But too many people on the right are really quick to embrace celebrities who say something right-wing as soon as the shoe is on the other foot. That's hypocrisy, folks, and it doesn't always work out well. Just ask all the people who jumped on the Kanye train about that one. Ultimately, we'd all be better off if we stopped turning to celebrities, from Meryl Streep to Kid Rock, for analysis on complicated political questions, and instead listen to people who've made these issues their life's work. Alright everybody, that's it for this video. If you're still here, you must have found something interesting or insightful, so please do consider subscribing and sticking around, and maybe even hitting that like button and commenting with your thoughts below. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.